So last week I had talked about the Roterfaden Taschenbegleiter, which is the notebook cover that I use for my sort of daily analog journal, right? That's this guy right over here. And what I wanted to do was get in a little bit more detail about the notebooks that I use in here. So the notebooks I kind of think of as the spokes, and this notebook cover is what I think of as the hub to the analog life. So let's get right into it. All right, I had mentioned that I wanted to walk through a couple of the notebooks that I have in my system here, and I've got a couple. The first one that I'm going to point out is the Paper Republic Planner. So this one has a layout which has all the days on the left-hand side, the days of the week, and it's got a page for the week, and then you got a blank page which is dot grid, which is really nice. And the way that I set this up is, first of all, you've got the years here. You got a column for each of the months, right? So here we got 12 columns, obviously, for each month. And what I do, since I play in a couple of different bands, I try to keep that coordinated with different band gigs that we've got and some of the practices. And I put some birthdays in here too, and any kind of days that I'll be out or not available for the different bands. And it's just a way to keep that sort of coordinated and organized. Then what I typically do is I typically use this layout where I've got, sort of some health stats on the left-hand side. I have my food log, which is the green in the middle here. And then I've got a couple of different activity items there too. So just different things that I may have done for that day. And then I've also got my goals here. So the goals here are split, four rows. And then I've got a column for each of the days of the week. And I've got a legend that I use for that too. And the legend is basically like this, where if you set the goal that you're going to do for a particular day, just put a dot by it. And if you happen to reach that goal, then you can cross it out after you've met that goal, right? And if you need to cancel it for whatever reason, or it's no longer valid, then you just put a dash through it. And if you partially completed that goal, then you can put a slash through it. It just means that you partially completed it. Maybe you'll get to it later and you can make that a full completed that goal. So that's the legend that I use here. And I know that some people only track so many goals. This right here is quite a bit, right? It's 16 goals that I track through a given week, and they might change a little bit from week to week. In some cases, you might want to just track, say, 4 of them, and then you can use something like tiny experiments, which is great. It's just a way to treat the goals a little bit different, where you run experiments, and they're all based off of curiosity. So a whole separate sort of video that I can put together on that. But anyway, just another option that you have here. And you can see I play around with the colors and the pencil. And, obviously when you want to put these in, pencil them in, because you might want to change them. So this is really the layout that I have here for the Paper Republic notebook. And this is a lot of fun setting this up every week, every Sunday. Is typically when I will set that up and put the appropriate goals in there. If there's something that I don't want to track anymore, I'll probably just skip it. And then again, I can use the tiny experiments method too. All right, so that's the Paper Republic notebook. You can see it's a little bit thicker. It's fountain pen friendly. You can use fountain pen ink on there, or fountain pens pretty safely, I would say. I would generally use something like a ballpoint, or as you saw, I use a lot of pencil there too, different colored pencil for different kinds of legends. All right, so that's the Paper Republic notebook. And as I said, there's a yearly calendar that was in the front for 2026, and then for the next year, you got 2 pages that you can use for the upcoming year as well. So just have a look at that if you need to plan out that far ahead. All right, so that's the Paper Republic notebook. Again, it's just a daily driver that I use. Then I have the bullet journal notebook, and this one is a little bit different because it actually uses a format which is kind of more in the sort of portrait mode, right? So I flip this over, and then this is kind of how I use it. What I'll do is I'll set up an index just like any other notebook, and what I'll do then is I'll put items in here sort of as they happen. So what I have is I have a sort of a future log. I've got the future log, which is, what do I have coming up in the next months? So right now we're in January. So what do I have coming up February, March, April? It does come with some stickers, and you can use those stickers here to denote that, but you don't have to. And then I put like sort of pencil out each of the months there too. So making sure that makes sense, and I can just view them by week numbers. And then I've got the month itself, and I put some important dates there. And then we get into the weekly layout. So in the weekly layout, after each day happens, I'll sort of go back here and I'll just note which, what are the highlights of that particular day. So for example here, right, we, had some dinner with some friends on New Year's Day, and then we continued watching our Game of Thrones episodes. It was quite the marathon of Game of Thrones. Anyway, so that's that. And then I have a daily template, which has been really fantastic. And I'll walk through this daily template. Basically, you have a schedule on the left-hand side here with all the hours throughout the day, all the way till midnight. And you can pencil in what different things you have happening. You can have your to-dos, you got your gratitude, and then you have your sort of life log, so what happened for that day, right? So this is a little bit more aligned with what bullet journaling is, where you have your feelings, you got tasks, you got events, different things happening. And I keep paper clips in here too, just to kind of see where I'm at for a particular week. And then after each week sort of happens, then I also have a review, so I just kind of list out what went well, what didn't go so well, what do I need to focus on for the next week. And that continues on. Each of these notebooks typically lasts about a month, right? So you got just enough pages for that between the weekly reviews, the weekly layout, and then a page for each day. So that's been working out pretty well. I really like that. And they're not too expensive either for a set of 3, and they come in a couple of different colors. I've been alternating between the black and the yellow, and I think there's a green one that's out there now too. And then you can see that this right here is a very structured way of keeping notes, right? These are much more sort of based on schedules, but what I also have is just a way to capture some fleeting notes. So this is where you might be out and about and you just need to capture something real quickly, right? So you can kind of just enter that in here. You can note the day and then refer back to this and bring it back into your life log if you need to. On the very back of this too, I just maintain things that are, sort of handy references. Let's just say that I have, for example, I'm here in Chicago on the north side, and I often take the Union Pacific North Line. And I can just really quickly look at the schedule of the trains that are inbound, going to Ogilvy Transportation Center. I see what time they're going. I see what time they get there. Same thing with outbound. I can see real quickly which ones are heading out and which ones get to Ravenswood at a certain time. So again, it's just a reference, a couple of different formulas. I've got other notebooks. I still have some content to copy into this one. This one's relatively new. As you can see, I'm only a few pages in. So I got some stuff to bring in here, which I'll be doing before long. And those are my notebooks, and this again is what I use pretty much every day. Again, it's all wrapped with this wonderful, wonderful notebook cover by Roterfaden. It's a Taschenbegleiter, which means a sort of travel companion or pocket companion is what it actually literally translates to. So again, I wouldn't leave home without this right over here. It's been fantastic for my everyday carry. And let me know what it is that you use. Again, I think these are great tools, and this is just another way that I can sort of, have real good intent with my analog life, and it's been working great so far. Well, there you have it. That's how I use my notebooks. And we have the Roterfaden Taschenbegleiter, which again is kind of used as my analog hub, and then we've got the notebooks that are in there that sort of act as the spokes. So these are the different systems that I use, and I've been using them for a number of years now. They've evolved over time, but I feel like it's a system that really works well for me, and I'm curious to know what you use. So let me know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe for more great content for Chicago Creative Analog.